All right, we are live. Yeah, I'm interested to hear the rest of this too, and find out what was going on. That's crazy.
Yeah, I came across it. Doing some research out there in Mobile, and just a terrible story. This guy, the guy's father. I want to say he's like 68 or something. He's up there in age. Never
Oh
been
yeah.
arrested. The guy he used to actually be a professional ball player, from what I understand, baseball player,
Oh wow.
and he had his I believe he said he had his spine was sort of like, I don't know what you would call it, but
Fused? Was
yeah,
it
like
fused?
fused,
Yep.
fused.
Uh-huh.
And when they arrested him, they twisted him all around and stuff, and he's
Oh,
been in pain ever since. But um, just a crazy story. Let me see if
no doubt.
I don't know if this gentleman's ever used StreamYard before. I sent him the link though.
All right, guys. I see a bunch of people in chat. We'll get to the story in a minute. Trying to get the gentleman that Rogue Nation was talking about on his premiere just a minute ago, and we're not going to let anybody up right now. We may let some people up after we talk about it because we want to really stay focused and stay on point. Is it JC? Is that him?
Yeah.
Rogue.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, here he is. There you go. Welcome, JC.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Awesome. I'm trying to figure out how to work this thing.
right. You don't have to leave your camera on if you don't like. Sometimes, if you're on a cell phone, the bandwidth would be too great. So, if you can turn your camera off, that would probably work better.
All right. How do I do that?
It should have a cam mic button.
I think I
There
just
you go. You got it.
How you guys doing?
Pretty
I'm
good,
doing.
sir. How are you
I'm
tonight?
doing good.
I am sitting on the interstate doing my job.
Or that. Go for it, Mr. Rogue or Mr. Majorly Awesome. Take the floor.
All right, guys. Well, for those of you that watched the premiere just a few minutes ago, um, this gentleman here is the one that was, I don't want to say, I guess maybe the catalyst of it, because, he went and he saw some discrepancies in what was going on, and he started asking questions. And taking it to the higher ups, reporting the stuff that he saw that was not being handled correctly, and from that the story just kind of snowballed. So, JC, do you want to tell them sort of about what you found while you were working there in the impound lot?
Sure, I can do that. First of all, I'm kind of preface it with I was employed for 10 years there as a police impound. I was not a police officer. I was just an impound, basically a record driver. We would uh, we would inventory crime scene vehicles and assist with that kind of stuff. But for the most part, I just went out and towed illegally parked cars, vehicles that were involved in crimes, you know, etc. Well, what happened was 10 years into it, I'm beginning to notice. I know the Alabama laws because my family has a tow company. And the way the law reads is let's say I tow Rogue's vehicle and I have $100 involved in it. Towed it for $100 has been at my yard. I charge $25 a day storage. After 4 days, that's another $100. That time period rolls around and I sell that vehicle. Mind you, I got $200 into it. I sell that vehicle for $10,000. I'm allowed to keep the 200. The other, what is it, 9,800? I went to Mary G. Montgomery High School, so my math's gonna be kind of off. But anyway, the excess, the overage of that auction, you're supposed to turn into the state of Alabama, to the general fund. It goes to the taxpayers because it's money that you didn't deserve. When I noticed MPD was not doing this, I found what they called a fee deduction sheet they created so they could purposely not they would inflate what they got into it so they wouldn't have to turn the money in. I started questioning the auction, the girl who runs the auction. And she said, this is what they were doing when I got here. And I just kind of kept going, kept doing that. Okay, that's kind of strange. About that time talking to her, she told me, well, you know, the lieutenant rigs the bids to where her friends can get the cars. She'll pull the keys out of them and lock the doors. And she disqualifies people who are high bidders when her friends are the second highest bidder. So ultimately, the one who gets disqualified can't get it, and it falls back down to her friends. Well, with that information, I took it to the assistant chief at the time, Assistant Chief Hodge. And basically, he just said, well, we'll set time aside to talk to y'all about this. I'm going to get with Captain Rowland. We're going to set time aside, and we'll get together and talk. My plan was to file a grievance about the situation. And when you file a grievance, the way the personnel policy reads is you got 7 days from the time you notice the discrepancy to file the grievance. The Chief Hodge didn't get back to me quick enough, so I had to shoot off my grievance during that time so it wouldn't get X'd out due to not following the procedure. Well, after I sent that grievance is when all the retaliation started. It just snowballed. I went from in August of 2018, winning the Employee of the Year award, Civilian Employee of the Year award, to October filing a grievance, to November resigning and taking a job in another department. After I left, the very last day I was there, I sent out an email, which they call All Police. It goes to everybody in the department, all 800 employees with the city police department, basically saying goodbye. And to head off any rumors, because they were already talking, yeah, I chased him away. That was kind of what they were talking. And to head off any rumors, I told them in the email why I was leaving. Well, they didn't like that too much. The chief sent a cease and desist order, certified mail to me. 2 days later, I got a no trespass order in the mail. A couple of days later, I got a no contact order. And he sent out an email memorandum order that if I was seen on city property, that I was to be arrested on site. So I stayed away from city property during that time period. Rolled around about a month later, the wreckers have an ordinance that they abide by here. About a month later, the wrecker inspector shows up delivering a letter saying, these are the new stuff you're going to have to do. You're going to have to, trucks got to be available for our use only during these time periods. It was just stuff that it wouldn't be feasible for us to comply with. So my brother came to me and said, hey, what do you know about this? What can we do about it? So I sent an email to all the council members, and I pointed out to the council members that 10 years with the department, that y'all couldn't even abide by the ordinance. And now y'all are trying to enforce an ordinance that was written in 1988. We've begged y'all to enforce it. Y'all refused to. And now why are y'all all of a sudden trying to enforce this ordinance? Okay, let's see where I'm at. I sent out the email, city council. Then we started going down there. My brother went and spoke at the city council. They stood up and said, Chief Barber stood up, or Public Safety Barber stood up and said, we're now opening a criminal investigation against these guys for what he called consumer protection fraud, because they've been charging rates not allowed by the city ordinance. He said we're not allowed to charge administrative fees and we're not allowed to charge winching fees. Well, with him saying that, he said that he had some complaints, and he don't have to reveal them because they're confidential informants. I did open records requests for his emails, his text messages, any paper memorandum orders. You know how that goes. I tried to acquire all that to find out, what is this complaint about? What tow company is it about? Is it about ours? Is it about another one? And right after I did that, they arrested my dad and my brother.
Oh, wow.
It's been retaliating nonstop since then. When they arrested my dad and my brother, they towed all 5 of their tow trucks away, and they've had them. We got them back with a temporary restraining order, but the DA appealed to the Alabama Supreme Court. The Alabama Supreme Court said, we don't agree with what's going on down there in Mobile. We don't think the law was designed for this. And these guys are more than likely going to beat their case because they did not commit this crime. But the law says this, and we have to abide by it. So they ordered us to turn the trucks back in, and they've had our trucks ever since. It shut the business down. We're down almost $350,000.
And I want to bring up what I think is the most glaring example of retaliation in this case, and that was when JC's father was arrested. At his father's home during the arrest, there was the chief of police, the deputy chief, and the director of public safety. So, I mean, this is unusual to have even either one of those three gentlemen at a personal arrest, much less to have all three of them there. And I think that more than anything shows that these guys were trying to be like, hey, look at what we can do if you keep making waves, if you keep bringing attention to the fact that we were doing stuff that we shouldn't have been doing. And really, to me, I think the whole case is retaliation against JC, but in order to try to cover their tracks, they decided to throw a couple other tow companies under the bus. Because if you read the news articles that I've linked, we come to find out that there were other tow companies that were charging the same amount and were not being prosecuted.
Even the Mobile Police Impound Yard charges those same rates. They put out a memo in 2015 saying these are the rates to charge. That is the sheet that gave us guidance on the fees to charge. But they told us those fees are illegal. And since the insurance company paid the bill, that's insurance fraud. And it's like, wait a minute, you told us to charge these rates. Here is your memo. And they're like, well, we made an administrative error. Charles was criminal.
Right. So they made the error and they blame you guys for their error.
And the funny to top it off what you just said about them coming to my dad's house to arrest him, actually making an appearance, which they never make an appearance on arrest. They notified the news media, and they had the news media cameras out the road filming. When they raided our tow company, they brought the news cameras with them. When they arrested my dad and my brother, they brought the news cameras with them. They held press conferences talking about how they're investigating these, pirate tow companies. I mean, everything was pre-set up prior to them coming out. They have never, one of the cases just got thrown out last week. It got thrown out because the police is trying to say that we signed a contract with them to tow the vehicles at set rates. We've never signed a contract with them. Not one single tow company has ever signed anything. But with that being said, that got called out in the courtroom. It basically show us one company has signed something and they can't do it. And it kind of fell apart for them. But it's ridiculous, and it's crippled. I mean, the tow company's out of business. A tow company has been around for 22 years, is completely out of business. We still are managed to maintain the trucks as far as pay the $1,600 a month truck note, the insurance notes. Luckily, my brother sold his house just to stockpile the money to pay for to maintain that until we go to court June 8th. And hopefully, when we go to court June 8th, we beat the criminal thing and we get the trucks back. And the civil asset thing goes away. So that's kind of our plan.
Someone asked in the comment section if you talked to the Attorney General, and I just wanted to let everybody know in the chat that in the video premiere that I just did, I included some links, and one of those links is to the mayor. And the reason why I included the link to the mayor is because there's a mayoral election August 2021 there for Mobile, and I think it would be nice if the citizens let Sandy, who's the current mayor there, know that the political citizens don't really care to have our fellow citizens retaliated against when we report wrongdoing by our servants. So I think maybe a show of force to let the people there in power know that the voting that the citizens do is what keeps them in power, and so we have to take that power back. We have to let them know that certain stuff is not going to be tolerated. Now, the chief of police isn't an elected official, but the mayor and the city council and them, they hire the chief of police, and those are elected officials. So if these people want to keep getting elected, they need to understand what the real will of the people is. And I think part of that is not punishing citizens that have turned in public servants, not retaliating against people, not ruining people's lives over charges that, you know, won't stick. I mean, these charges aren't going to stick.
Well, Public Safety Barber has a saying. His saying is, "You may beat the rap, but you're still going to take the ride." So that's his thing. Is he'll send you on a charge to make you fight it for a couple years and spend thousands of dollars just for it to get thrown out. That's how he rules around here. Public Safety Barber is the man in charge. He runs the city. The mayor kind of just takes advice from him and speaks, but Barber actually runs it. He is the Gestapo here. It would have to go above the mayor in order to get some attention. We tried to contact the Attorney General, the state Attorney General, and I filed, 4 different complaints with the state Attorney General, and I received no response whatsoever. No emails back. Well, I got an email just confirmation that I got about my complaint, but never heard back from anybody. Filed a complaint with the FBI due to the fact that they're the color of law violation, because they are violating our constitutional rights. I mean, they admitted in the newspaper that we brought this on ourselves because JC spoke out. I mean, it's in black and white in the AL.com. So with that being said, they violated my First Amendment right. So I called the FBI, filed a complaint with them. I said, do you have a case number or a follow-up number I can have to get back in touch with you if I need something? And they said, if we need anything more from you, we'll contact you. Now we're going on 2 years. I haven't heard from them. I filed an internal affairs complaint with Mobile PD's own internal affairs division, and you know how that goes, because the investigating officer falsified the search warrant affidavits. He lied some stuff in there to get the judge to okay the search warrants. Well, when I pointed those out, I did one of their investigators came out, took my statement, left. I haven't heard anything yet. That's been 1 year and 4 months ago.
Yeah, and this is exactly what we're seeing. I mean, everywhere I go, this is exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing public servants that are retaliating against citizens. We're seeing, their bosses not doing anything about it, and other people and other agencies just not caring. And this is why we do what we do, because this kind of behavior has to stop. I mean, unless they want to create this division for some nefarious purpose, I mean, something's definitely gonna have to be, done. Unfortunately, all we have left is the political arena. I know you said you have a criminal thing coming up. Is that a jury case or?
Yes, it is. It is actually a start of our trial. Because we went through our prelim, we basically asked the judge to look. We need this to conclusion because we don't want a secret indictment if you throw it out. And we figured once we got the grand jury to indict us, and you know how that is, that's a rubber stamp for the DA. No, you can get indicted on anything. All it is the DA there telling his side, and he's always right. So the grand jury tends to side with him. But once we got that, it gave us power of subpoena. So I was hoping to get emails, text messages, that kind of stuff leading up to that retaliation for the actual federal lawsuit that we plan on filing. We haven't made that point yet. Our lawyers are concentrating on getting they filed a motion to get the charges thrown out based on that it's not insurance fraud. And that's what we go for on the 8th, I guess, to argue that motion. And then we've been set for a jury trial. That jury trial is supposed to start on the 8th, but I don't think they're going to bring the jury in on the 8th. So we'll see.
Yeah, I would like to. I don't think I'll be able to make it out there for that, but I would like to, find out from you if possible how that all goes. That way I can inform the people that are watching and see. But yeah, if there's anybody in Mobile, I know I have some friends out there. If there's anybody in Mobile, maybe we could get some jury nullification pamphlets passed out around there that time. or maybe just show up and support of these folks. We did post a JC does have a PayPal pool set up, and I posted the link on my channel there, and that goes directly to the tow company's defense of these charges. So, I mean, I definitely want to try to get as much help as I can to you. Again, it's sad to me. It breaks my heart that people in America have to go through this from our servants. I mean, if we're the best of the best, and the reason we're the best is because we're a nation of laws, then why don't we just freaking live by the laws? You know what I mean? Not just me, and not just Jeff, and not just JC, but why don't we all freaking live by the laws?
Yeah. But one thing I did want to say to everybody that's listening, I have evidence to back up every single thing I'm saying. I'm not just saying, I'm not embellishing it. I literally have, because when I knew I was going to be leaving and I put in my notice to leave, I made sure I got what I needed. I have evidence to back up every single thing that I'm saying. I just can't get anybody of like the state attorney general or federal attorney general or state auditor. I can't get anybody to listen or actually look at what I've got to give them. It's all like, okay, well, just send it to us. And then I never hear back from them. So
Right.
I've got all the proof. Just
right. And JC went to the media, which is the media links that I included. But after a while, the police told the media outlets that if they cover this story, they're going to be cut off from doing like the perp walks and getting the exclusives from the police department. So that's how the police retaliate against media when they don't want a story out or they don't want it covered. They'll just cut you off from the news cycle. So, I mean, this kind of behavior we just can't allow. We really can't allow it. I mean, I don't know what more I could say to illustrate the point that, this is not what we've signed up for. This is not what we go to work for, pay taxes for. This is not what we vote for. This is a total abuse of power. And again, it's rampant everywhere. It's not just, Mobile, although we've been getting a lot of reports out of Mobile. But I mean, it's just something that we as citizens, if we care about, not just, our living conditions and our quality of life, but the quality of life of people in our neighborhood or our state, or, even future generations, because it only gets worse. Left unchecked, it only gets worse. So we have to do something. We have to get involved. We have to, put down Facebook for a minute and get on the phone. And we have to hold these people accountable. We really do, because again, it might not affect us personally right this second, but one day it might. And, one day it might affect our children, or our grandchildren. So we need to get this stuff addressed and try to nip it in the bud the best we can, because like I said, it only gets worse from here. Tyranny never reverses on itself. Power never gives away power just for the good grace. You know what I mean? So we have to keep it in check while we can. So all right, guys.
We got it. Do we have any questions in the chat? If you guys got any questions you'd like to ask, then either put them in chat. I can open the panel up. It's up to you guys.
Yeah, you can open up the panel if people want to come up. If they got questions, they can ask in the comment section. I'm trying to read it now.
I got one here if you want to read it. Turns back.
Okay, well, I mean, as far as that's concerned, as far as extorting, I mean, I don't believe that that's what's going on with, the tow companies. I mean, I believe that's more to do, again, with the police, and specifically the civil asset forfeiture program that a lot of these municipalities run. I mean, the owner of a tow company per se isn't a bad person because he owns a tow truck and he, charges the going rate for people to get towed. Again, I think the problem stems more from the confiscation of the vehicle, needing it to be towed. For example, you pull somebody over for a DUI, okay? Instead of, calling a tow company, call a family member to come out and pick the car up. These are decisions that the police make, not the tow companies. The tow companies are just there to get the call. So, and again, if it's not one tow company, it's going to be another tow company. You know what I mean? It's
right. What you're trying to say is they just call them to come get the vehicle. They don't know if they extorted it. They don't know if they planted drugs on it. They don't even know. Most of the time, correct me if I'm wrong, JC. They don't even know what went down. All they got is a call to come get the car or the truck, right?
Yeah, if it's what you call a rotation call, it's generally an accident. Unfortunately, there is a necessary evil. I mean, you need tow companies out there to clear the highways. And sometimes it can be what's called an impound call when the city's own wrecker service isn't available. They'll call us to get it, but we just pick it up and take it straight to the impound yard and drop it, and we get a flat fee for it. And turn over custody of it. But it's like I said, it's a necessary evil. I mean, you got to have tow trucks. The rates are set by the city ordinance, and when you abide by their rates, they just redid the ordinance. Started this month. They started the new ordinance. But the old ordinance that was written in 1988, if you abided by that ordinance, those fees, you were in violation of that old ordinance. Therefore, they could have charged you with insurance fraud.
Right on.
exactly. So yeah, again, I don't think that's a viable theory on the tow companies itself. Again, I believe from what I read, I believe there's like 56 different tow companies on that rotation list. So, it's basically whenever, the police department decide to impound a car, they have this list and they just go down the list or in rotation and say, okay, well, this guy got the last car impounded, so we're going to call this guy now. But again, it's a necessary evil. And again, I wouldn't call it evil because I broke down plenty of times on the road, and I've had, to get towed and stuff like that. And I didn't consider it evil, or, I didn't consider the rate, which is, comparable to when my car gets impounded, because again, you guys know my car has been impounded, when I get arrested doing an audit. And I found it comparable to when my car got impounded. I didn't see any exorbitant fees or, anything like that. I actually thought last time my car was impounded in Georgia, I thought the rate was modest. I wasn't upset at all about the rate. I mean, besides the fact that obviously it was an illegal arrest and I shouldn't have to pay in the first place, but I'll include all that in on my lawsuit on the back end. But yeah, so I don't think it's anything nefarious as far as that. I don't see these guys, raking in a ton of money. Now, it's possible that, maybe Mobile PD wanted to thin out that rotation list and get more of, their connected guys in there and maybe get some kickbacks or something. I mean, any of that stuff's possible. But I think now, in this situation, what we're looking at here is just the simple fact of, government being found out doing something it shouldn't be doing and going after this gentleman and his family. You got to remember, it wasn't his family that went and said, hey, there's some discrepancies here in the impound fees and this and that, these charts, whatever. It wasn't his family that did that. It was JC, I believe. And so in order to punish JC, they've taken his brother and his father's business away from him, and costs of up to $350,000. I mean, that's huge.
Wow.
All right. It's not just retaliation against JC, who was the one who questioned, but it was retaliation against his family because, these kind of stories get spread to other citizens, and they use that as sort of like I guess you could say advertising. So you see what what we did to this family. So think about that next time you question us. You know what I mean? That's
Just for
pretty
the
much
record there, Rogue,
exactly the way I see it.
just for the record there, Rogue, my dad retired
Yeah.
in 2017. He
Right.
had nothing to do with the tow business. And we told them that when they launched their investigations, they came out to speak to him. I told him, you're wasting your time. He's been retired since 2017. Your crimes you're saying committed happened in 2019. This man had nothing to do with
Right.
it. They didn't
Right.
care.
No,
They still came back and arrested him.
right. And again, that makes it more nefarious. And to me, again, it makes it a clear sign of retaliation because again, like you said, your father wasn't even involved in the business when these supposed crimes occurred. But that doesn't matter to them because when they retaliate, they'll do it against everybody just to prove a point that they can and they can get away with it. And fortunately for us, JC and his family, they've stood strong. They've stood tall against this battery. A lot of families, a lot of people, man, they'd fold. They'd give them the trucks. They'd move away halfway across the country and start over. But these guys are standing tall and they're standing strong. They're fighting it. They're going after them with a lawsuit after the criminal charge. So I mean, we as citizens, we gotta back plays like this. You know what I mean? We gotta back people that stand up against this kind of activity going on. Because again, if we don't, it's going to be that much worse for the next family that crosses Mobile Police Department. You know what I mean? So we have to find people that are in these situations and are making these stands, and we got to stand behind them, man. We gotta be the dam behind the water.
No doubt. Anybody in the chat got a question for JC or Rogue Nation? I can open up the panel if you guys want to come up and ask some questions. I don't have a problem with that. See anybody wants to do that. If you want to come up, put a 1 in chat and I'll post a link and you guys can come up. If not, then I think we're gonna sign off. Anybody got any questions?
Well, Miss B had a comment. She said tow truck companies are in the business of making money any way they can. And I just want to point out that that is the exact mission statement of every corporation in America is to make money any way they can. I mean, you're talking about Walmart, you're talking about McDonald's, you're talking about Starbucks. Every corporation, every company in America is trying to make money any way they can, you know? Um, that really has no bearing. I don't think. I don't understand the logic behind that. Of course, the tow company's gonna try to make money any way they can, just like Nike tennis shoes is gonna go to Vietnam and outsource village children for $2 a day. You know what I mean? Like that's the American dream to make money any way you can.
Beth says, ask, was the problem with the city yard?
So what was the problem with the city yard?
She asked, was the problem with the city yard?
Yeah, the city has their own records and they tow impounds, crime scene vehicles, that type thing. Their fees the city ordinance dictated the fees. What the city impound was doing was charging rates not allowed by that city ordinance for over 10 years. I was there 10 years and it was the same fee scale the whole time. During that time period, they estimated into the millions that they overcharged people.
Wow.
When they issued the memo in 2015 stating what fees can be charged for the private sector, we went to that fee scale sheet. They didn't change their ordinance. So basically what happened was you pissed us off. You spoke out against us and made us look bad. Because I exposed the impound for doing the same thing they accused us of doing. We're charging you with a crime. When the news media went to them and said, y'all are doing the same thing, how are you charging them with a crime that y'all were doing too? And they said that theirs was an administrative error, but the tow companies was malicious. but yet we were just simply following the pay sheet that they gave us.
Yeah, it sounds tyrannical to me. That's for sure.
And the media was against us when they first came out. They literally, the MPD notified the media. They had a press conference at the chief's conference table. They showed up at my house, contacted my brother, showed up at his house. I took the reins and started speaking, and I basically laid out all the stuff. Well, the media has flipped and basically started going after MPD. When I say the media, I'm talking AL.com, Laney App, all three major news networks here. They all were like, I don't get this. I don't see how y'all are doing this. What are you doing to these guys? That's when MPD started screaming exclusion. If y'all keep making us look bad, we're not going to call y'all when we have perp walls. We're not going to call y'all when we do raids on drug houses. They started threatening to exclude them. And that's what the media was coming back to me, telling me, man, I really wish I could do something, but they're threatening us for exclusion. So it's just amazing. We call it the good old boy system. You got the top three at the MPD have been here for 30, 35 years each, and until the little clique gets out, it's going to stay the good old boy system. There's just no way around it unless somebody puts another black eye on them.
That's correct, Graham. It started with JC bringing to light the problems and the mismanagement and the outright criminal activity that was going on at the city yard. And because JC, and this is my theory now, So when JC brought up this stuff about going on in the city yard, they decided to go after his family's tow company through the use of that ordinance and through the use of the insurance fraud case. And I believe they specifically targeted JC's family for this. Now, in order to cover their tracks, I believe they decided to include a couple other tow companies in the prosecution. Now, two of those tow companies have already had their cases dismissed, right, JC?
That is correct.
So two of the tow companies have already had their cases dismissed. And if you read the news articles that I posted the links to, I mean, the judges, they're all saying that this case is weak, that it's going to go nowhere. But I think again that it was just retaliation against JC and his family owned a tow company. They could hurt them financially. That's what they decided to do. They threw a couple other guys in there under the bus, probably some tow companies they didn't like, or some tow companies that decided to stand up against the ordinance.
They only took our tow trucks, our family tow trucks. Those are the only ones they confiscated when they arrested them. They didn't even arrest the other couple tow companies. Now, mind you, the other couple tow companies they arrested, the owners, was down there with us speaking out against their ordinance. So it wasn't like it was just selective. They went after all the companies that spoke out against them. There was 5 total. They arrested my dad and my brother. It wasn't until 7 months later they arrested the other 4 owners. And they only took my dad or my brother's tow trucks. They didn't take none of the other tow companies. All the other tow companies are still in business, still towing for the city, and they're scared. They won't speak out. They won't say nothing.
JC, were you what did you say you went to a council meeting? Was the rest of the tow truck drivers there too?
Yes, they were at council meetings too.
And they just took your vehicle. They took your tow truck, nobody else's.
Exactly. They took 5 tow trucks. Yep.
Wow, 5 of them. Not just one, guys. They took 5 of his trucks.
$250,000 worth of equipment.
Good God.
And they basically said it. Their thing is, we're gonna take your equipment on that way. By the time this is all done with, you're gonna be bankrupt. I mean, that's basically what they're doing. And my brother's wife died like 4 months into it. He didn't want to live in the house anymore, so he sold the house. And basically, that's how he's sustaining everything right now, is the money he got from selling the house until we can get through this trial.
Wow, man, I feel for you, man. To have that happen.
It's been a rough, long road, but I feel pretty confident we're going to beat it.
Yeah. How long has this been going on again?
They started in May March or May. I think it initially kicked off in March, and they said it was going to criminally charge us in May of 2019. And they arrested them 4th of July, 2019.
Oh man,
say
and
the
it's
date was-
still going on now. What
Still
happened?
going.
What happened to the speedy trial? COVID? Is that
COVID.
what they're telling you?
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much it. Courts were shut down, postponed
Yeah.
dates. DA went in
Yeah.
there last time, said he's not ready, and asked for a furtherance out. I mean, it keeps getting pushed back, and
Yeah, yeah. That's typical though. Anytime that they got something of yours, they want you to hold it even longer. So they will push that shit out for 5 years if they can.
that's what they've done. We're just kind of riding and waiting. Luckily, we got trial start June 8th. We've got the main guy at the Alabama State Insurance Commissioner. He is a lead investigator over the insurance fraud division, saying this is not insurance fraud. It does not constitute insurance fraud. And he's basically going to be on our side to testify in court. So this case is a sure win, but you never can tell what they're going to pull out their hat.
Right. Well, I mean, there's all kind of cases with sure wins, but end up being a loss. You know what I mean? Because of the corruption that's going on in every facet of government.
Even if we win, we're going to lose. I mean, even if we win, we've already lost. I mean, you're
right.
That amount of money, and they ruined our business.
Right.
Two of our biggest contracts, Ford and Toyota, during their investigation, the way they smeared us on the media and demonized us, pulled their contracts. They won't let us tow for them anymore. So
JC, even if you win, it might be a year, it might be another 2 years. Even if you win, they're gonna smear your name. You know how they're gonna work, right? They're gonna smear your name so you won't be able to get no work when you get your trucks back.
Yeah. Well, my brother has since relocated to Mississippi to get out of Alabama.
Right.
My dad's a red-blooded American. Believed in supporting the troops, supporting police his whole life, and for them to come and knock on his door, and the way it happened, they knocked on the door, he opened the door, and the detective said, "Mr. Smith, can you come outside?" And he's like, "I'm not coming out there, it's hot out there." He opened the door for them to come in. Well, when he opened the door, they grabbed him by the wrist, slammed him against the wall,
man,
him down on the ground, and he's had health issues in his back. He's had melanoma, he's had pins and rods put in his back. They twisted his arms up around his neck to handcuff him. I mean, they hurt that man.
Yeah.
So and it didn't need to be done that way.
Yep. They don't care. They just don't freaking care, man. I'm disabled. I got treated the same way. They just don't give a flying, what.
But in their same ordinance, it sets out a penalty phase. If you violate this ordinance, you get a written warning the first time. Second time, you get 10 days suspension. Third time, you get 30 days suspension, and it escalates. Nowhere in there doesn't say if you violate this ordinance, we're going to charge you with a crime.
Right.
They suspended the tow company twice for 30 days at a time. They basically surpassed penalty phase 1, penalty phase 2, and went to penalty phase 3 twice before they got arrested.
Just jumped ahead, no warning, no nothing.
Exactly. So they have an issue of following their own ordinance.
Right. Well, we all know. I don't know if you're familiar with me or the auditing community or whatever, but we all know how corrupt government is, right? I mean, we deal with it on a daily basis.
I have been seeing more and more of it. Rogue, when Rogue came to Mobile and went to the Coast Guard base and the police precinct up there, I'm maybe 3 or 4 miles from that, and I thought that was the greatest thing I ever seen.
Right.
Somebody standing up to these fools.
That's right. That's what we do, man. That's what we do. So I hope everything works out for you, man. And it's going to be a long, hard road, but just keep firm, stand tall, and don't let them have a fucking inch, dude.
Well, we're not backing down. They've done offered 2 plea bargains. They want to drop it down to 1 felony each, and kind of good behavior, and it goes away after time. And we told them to stick it up their ass. Right.
Well, it sounds like to me that they wanted to get you, get you to not. They offer me that. Well, didn't offer it to me. My lawyer said it could happen. It's like a prayer for judgment, right? But I told them there's no way in hell I would take that. You know what I mean? They won't. You won't be charged, right? But if you get in trouble again, then you'll have 2 charges on you. You know what I mean? I told them to take that and shove it up their ass.
my dad's thing was, what am I pleading to? I've done nothing wrong. I've been retired since 2017 and enjoying my life. I did nothing wrong. Why am I taking a plea? And no, we told him in open court. No, we're not.
Yeah, because you basically, if you take the plea, you admitting, hey man, well, yes, I did fuck up, and don't punish me too hard, right? I mean,
yep. Then that takes away your opportunity to sue. That takes away your truck. We wouldn't be able to get them back if we took a plea.
Right on. Yep.
Anybody got it? I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Yeah, man. I mean, Roe contacted me. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. Anybody in the chat got any questions? Anybody want to come up on panel and ask any questions? It's up to you guys, man. I can drop the link. We could just sit here. I mean, if you got any questions, then put it in the chat. I'm sure JC wouldn't mind answering some questions. I'm just seeing a lot of comments. I'm sorry, Rose. Seeing a lot of comments, really no questions.
Yeah. I think we've caught everybody up, and I want to thank you, Jeff, for hosting this tonight, because I just wanted to have a moment for him to tell the story. I tried to tell it as thoroughly as I could in my video, but it's always nice to hear it right from the horse's mouth.
No doubt.
I wanted to get this story out. Like I said, his trial starting in a couple of days. Government's opening back up tomorrow after Memorial Day. We need to make a push and get some people in on this. We need to call the media out there. We need to call everybody and just raise the stink. And hopefully, get some eyes on the prize here. Again, this is a tragedy, and this is a moment where we can stand behind, somebody fighting against, corruption. So I want to thank everybody for watching the premiere. I want to thank everybody for coming over here and participating in the live chat, live stream. And I want to thank JC himself for standing up for what's right and not buckling, because a lot of people would just overlook stuff like that. They'd say, hey, well, whatever, and just continue about their day. So I want to thank everybody for being here.
No doubt. Thanks, JC, man. Thanks for your story. I hope everything works out for you, my brother.
You're welcome. Appreciate everybody listening too.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks, Road Nation. What I will do, Road Nation, I'm gonna grab all them links. I'm gonna put it in the description of this. People can go back and look at it and do what they want to do, right?
Absolutely. And before we leave, Jeff, I just want to say to everybody watching, and I haven't told Jeff this yet either. I haven't been able to talk to him recently. I've been busy, but we are now active on all of our platforms except for Apple. And I'm doing a whole redo of the Activism News Network site to make it easier to navigate for people. So this summer we're going to be pushing out a lot of content. We're going to be doing a lot of accountability out there on the street. I got a 2-week trip planned that's going to start at the end of June and go into the middle weeks of July. And I'm going to be driving through about 6 or 7 states and doing some audits and getting out there. So we got a lot of stuff coming up. And like I said, for people that want accountability, we need that support on Activism News Network so we can make, we can make that more possible. We can have that juice to do the stuff that we need to do, hire private investigators, hire forensic accountants.
No doubt. I think your mic's cutting out, Road. I think
it's a good possibility.
That last bit, I think, cut out, but I think they got the message.
You got it, buddy.
All right, guys, y'all go check out Roku TV, man, Activism News Network. See some awesome people on there. So JC, thanks. Rogue Nation, majorly awesome. I appreciate you, man. All you guys in the chat, y'all have a good night. I'm gonna shut this thing down.
Thank you, guys.
Right on, man. Please, JC, keep your head up, man. We all behind you, brother.
I appreciate it.
Right on. All right, y'all have a good one, guys. Hang on, let me shut this